as large as your spirit is, how much of God dwells there? How much of his waters have you drunk? Worship is a privilege. God is not lacking anything. And I'm about to say something that might hit your theology a little. God does not need man in the sense of which you describe need. God does not need anything. God gives man the privilege of partnership with him. It's not as if God cannot do what he wants to do without man. Are you with me? God by himself creates a limitation for himself. He did it himself. That if he's going to invade our realm, man has become the privileged recipient of the rich benevolence of his grace. That you can now partner with an immortal spirit to actualize what is actually in the heart of the immortal spirit. So you will think you are doing it, but you are actually a puppet. God is the one pulling your strings behind the scenes. That's what Paul means when he says, it is God that worketh in you, both to will and to do. What verse is that? Give me that verse in NLTs, because somebody is put NLT, New Living Translation. For God is what? Working in you. What is he doing? He's giving you the desire and the what? Power. To do what pleases him. So it looks like you are the one doing it, but who is giving you the desire? Who is giving you the power? Lord. The Lord. So God is not in need of anything. He lacks nothing. He needs nothing. If that were to ever become part of his nomenclature, then he cannot be God. So man was not created so that he can worship. Man was not created so that he can praise. Man was not created so that he can do something for God. While all these things are legitimate and they are powerful, the major reason man was created is so that God can multiply himself on the face of the earth. Man's primary design is to be a vessel that carries God. Are you with me tonight? This is why, dear brother, you are created spirit, soul, and body. So that in your spirit you can host God. And then as you walk upon the face of the earth, you can dispense his realities to a generation and to a world that is dying. This is man's primary design. But the man that walked out of Eden without the capacity to do business with God. Because he died. That death that he died was a separation from his Father. Everything else connected to man also suffered that affliction. So when you get born again and you come into divine union with Christ, everything, every environment, everything now begins to work against that. And one of the ways that you will prove that you know Jesus is in your willingness to obey him. To obey. So Jesus was saying to Peter, after Peter said, if this is the way of a man with his wife, then it is better not to be married. Then Jesus responded and said, it's a good saying, but not everybody has the grace to survive it. So Jesus says, some are born as eunuchs from their mother's womb. So that means, dear brother, there are some people who from their mother's womb, marriage is not factored into their destiny. Are you here? He said some are made eunuchs of men. That is, there are some who men castrate. And they will never ever be able to enter into the union that is called marriage. He said some are eunuchs, made eunuchs by themselves. So there are some people who in the studio in eternity, God already knows that when they come to this earth, they will make a decision that marriage is not for them. Basically because they want to give themselves to the Lord. Did you not read what Paul said? He said that a virgin, he was speaking about single sisters. He said their primary focus is what? On how to do what? Please the Lord. But she that is married, her whole, everything that drives her is how to please her husband. So Paul was literally saying that it is better to be single than to be married. Are you with me? I know that you want to marry. I was preaching somewhere in my city, and I said the things I'm saying now, and I said, it's possible that you are here, and God is even telling you that you will never marry. A sister said, God forbid. God forbid. In fact, I was in a youth conference in one major denomination, and then they were asking questions. They were trying to do teasers. They were trying to stir themselves up in the way of the Lord. And somebody said, what if on your wedding night, wedding day, as wedding is finishing, God just comes and says he wants to come now? Many of the young people say they will tell him to wait. They will tell him to wait. There's a desperation to marry. And this is why Satan is exploiting us. Notice when you go around our churches, everything, the programs are designed to feed our appetites. I don't know whether that happens in Kano, but in my city, somebody can be doing a 5-day meeting, and the theme of the meeting is grace to receive visa. In my city, you see themes like my blood is bitter, point and kill, 500 bachelors for 500 spinsters, and the place will be packed full. The question I normally ask, so there are no longer people who were made eunuchs from the womb. So there are no longer people who the Lord, their love for God has driven them to the place where they say, marriage is not in my nomenclature. How come all of us want to marry? It's one of two things. It's either God lied or we are living a lie. There are many that have been spoken to. They don't want to obey. As large as your spirit is, how much of God dwells there? How much of his waters have you drunk?